Everyone, good evening, guys. How are you all? Good evening, everyone. My name is Afreen and I welcome you all to today's session. Okay, so today is the topic the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Okay, so the complete thing, what is the preamble, extent, definitions that are covered under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. This is PPB Module A. So let's start discussing this topic. First of all, if we talk about the Consumer Protection 2019, the overview. The initial Consumer Protection Act was enacted in year 1986 and it was with the main objective that with the protection of the interest of the consumer. So it was actually set up or it was actually bring or established for the protection and the right of the consumer. Then this 2019, this actually initial the act of 1986 has been replaced by the new act, which is 2019 act, with again same objective, but obviously with some enhanced version and for the better coverage. Okay, now if we talk about the Consumer Protection Act 2019, it is applicable to complete India, including the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Next, if we talk about the Consumer Protection Act 2019, it applies to all goods and services. So every goods and services, it applied to every goods and services excluding some. First of all, if there is any good which was for resale, if there is any goods for commercial purpose and service rendered for free of charge and service under the contract for personal service, then these are excluded from the Consumer Protection Act. Means if, for example, you have purchased some raw material and you have purchased anything for the purpose of reselling, so resale item is not included in this doesn't included any commercial purpose good, this doesn't included any free services or any personal services. So except these, all the goods and services are under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Now, what are the salient or new aspects of 2019? Why there is a need to have a 2019 Act when there was earlier 1986 Act? The 1986 Act was not so much elaborated, was not so much advanced. But the 2019 Act actually is an elaborated version of 1986 Act. It covers various things. For example, it covers the consumer right definition. It covers the definition of unfair contract, that what is unfair contract, how the unfair contract is treated. Second, it actually covers up the product liability action. It is actually designed and include related aspect. It includes electronic commerce and electronic service provider also. Advertisement and endorsement is also covered. Express warranty parameter is also covered. Okay, so these are the new features that has been introduced in the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Okay, now next, if we talk about the difference between the old version and the new version. Now, what are the difference between the old version and the new version? First of all, if we talk about the Consumer Protection Act 1986, there was no separate regulator under the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Whereas there is a different or a separate regulator which is known as Central Consumer Protection Authority, which is actually regulating the complete act. Okay, next, if the complaint has been filed in the consumer court, the seller or the office is located. So the difference was the complaint was actually filed in the court where the seller is located. Whereas in this new act, the complaint can be filed in the court where the buyer or whoever is complaining actually reside. So here the complaint is actually on the buyer's court or where the buyer is located, and here the complaint is on the seller. Okay, now there was no provision. Consumer could approach a civil court, but not a consumer court. Here, the consumer can seek compensation and can approach the consumer court also. Now, here the limit was district up to 20 lakh. If you are going to the district court, then there is a valuation of 20 lakh. Here, state 20 to 1 crore and national above 1 crore. Here, the district value is up to 1 crore. Means the district court can heard all the complaints of the consumer if the value doesn't exceed 1 crore. If the value exceed 1 crore to 10 crore, it is under the national jurisdiction and state jurisdiction, and national it is above 10 crore. Okay, if we talk about the electronic commerce, here electronic commerce was not included, here electronic commerce was included. If we could talk about the mediation cell, okay, so if there is a buyer and seller, there is a mediator who actually solves the matter out of the court. There is no actually provision for the mediator court. Here there is a mediation cell, okay, so which actually settles the dispute between the buyer and the seller at first. Okay, so this is the difference between the old version Consumer Protection Act 1986 and the new version Consumer Protection Act 2019. Clear? Now, let us discuss about the new act. First of all, according to the new act, who is the consumer? What is the definition of the consumer? According to the new act, what is the definition of the consumer? First of all, a consumer is a person who buy good or hire service for the consideration. Consideration means in exchange of value. If you are buying goods and services in exchange of some value, for example, you are giving money and you are buying good, you are giving money and you are receiving service, then only you are considered as a consumer. For example, if you are receiving service for free, then you are not considered as a consumer under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Exclude those who are actually obtaining the product for resale or commercial purpose, so they are excluded. Cover offline and online transaction both, so e-commerce, electronic shopping, e-services, these are all included in the consumer area. Fourth, Consumer Protection Act 2019 applied to complete goods and services except for the reselling or personal or those who are actually rendered for free. So these are the important point for defining a consumer under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Okay, next, if we talk about consumer rights, so what are the consumer rights under Consumer Protection Act 2019? The first right is the right to be protected. So first right is the consumer has the right to be protected against any false marketing, any false or anything that is hazardous to life and property. Okay, so the customer has first of all the right to be protected against any marketing of such good which is hazardous for their life. Second, the right to be informed. The customer, the consumer is actually have the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, the purity, the standard of the, okay, and to be protected against the unfair trade practices. Third, the consumer has the right to be assured. Right to be assured means wherever you have the excess of the good, you can go and completely check the goods and then decide whether to buy or not to buy. If you have excess of the good, then you have the right to be assured. Means if you are a consumer, you want to purchase some good and you have the convenience of actually visiting that factory or property or that thing if you want to purchase, so you can be assured about the quality and everything, and then you make the decision whether to buy or not to buy. Okay, next, the right to be heard. The consumer has the right to be heard in the case if there is any fraud or grievances of the customer. The right to seek redressal. If there is any unfair trade practices against the customer can have the right to readdress that. Last, the customer has the right to the consumer awareness. So these are the right that has been defined under the consumer right. The right to be protected against any false marketing, the right to be informed about the quality, quantity of the product, the right to be assured if you have the excess of that good, you can go check that good and then decide whether to buy or not. Right to be heard if there is any grievance or any fraud that is done to you, then the customer has the right to be heard. The customer has the right to seek readdressal, means if there is any grievances, then the customer has the right that their grievances should be readdressed and solved in an appropriate forum. Last, the right of the consumer awareness. The customer has also the right of the consumer awareness. Okay, so these are the consumer rights which has been defined. Next, if we talk about the various fora, now the customer has the right to be heard in various fora. The customer has the right that if they have any complaints about the good, they can be heard in different fora. Now, what are the fora that has been defined? Fora means platform that has been defined under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. So, first of all, there is a Consumer Protection Council. Second, there is a Central Consumer Protection Authority. Third, there is a Consumer Dispute Readdressal Commission, and there is a Consumer Mediator Cell. So these are the appropriate fora defined in the Consumer Protection Act 2019. And if the customer has any grievances or any complaints, they can be heard. They have the right to be heard in this different platform or fora. Clear? Next. Now, if we talk about the Consumer Protection Council, so Consumer Protection Council is of three levels. There is a state, there is a central, and there is a district. Now, first of all, if we talk about the central, it is established by central and the maximum members is 36. If there is a Consumer Protection Council at a state, this is established by the state, maximum 10 members, meeting is at least 2 meetings in a year should be done for the state council. Last, there is a district Consumer Protection Council. It is formed by the state government of each district, chaired by the district collector, comprises of official and non-official members. So these are the state Consumer Protection Council at central, at a state, and at a district level. Clear? Now next, if we talk about the Central Consumer Protection Authority, it is also known as Central Authority. First of all, it is also known as Central Authority. It consists of a Chief Commissioner and such commissioner which are prescribed under this act. The headquarters of Central Authority is in New Delhi. And what are the functions of this Central Authority? First of all, to protect, promote and enforce the right of the consumer, to prevent violation against consumer, to prevent unfair trade practice, to ensure that there should be no misleading advertisement, to ensure that there should be no person publishing any false or misleading advertisement. So these are the what functions of the Central Authority. Central Authority establishment as a line, as a regulatory body of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Second, headquarters is in New Delhi. These are the different functions that has been performed by the Consumer Protection Council, or which is also known as Central Authority. Clear? Okay. Next, ancillary function. So there are some main function of Central Authority. There are some add-on functions of the Central Authority also. Now, what are the add-on functions of the Central Authority? First of all, they can inquire or investigate into the violation of the consumer rights. Second, they can intervene in any proceeding in the district, state or national commission. They can review the matter on its own. They can recommend international covenant and best international practices. They can research in the field of consumer right. They can promote awareness. They can issue alert notices to the consumer, and they can issue guidelines to prevent any unfair trade practices. So these are some of the ancillary function of the Central Authority. So obviously there are some main function of the Central Authority, and there are some ancillary function of the Central Authority. Okay, so this is the second important fora. Next, if we talk about the Central Authority, the powers of the CCPA are, first of all, the power is they have the power to conduct inquiry, they have the power to recall of the goods, they have the power to discontinue any false advertisement, they have the power to search and seize. Now, a person who fails to comply with any direction of the Central Authority may be sent to jail for a time period which can be extended to 6 months, and should be fined with a monetary penalty of rupees 20 lakh or from both. Any manufacturer or service provider who is actually engaged in false or misleading advertisement shall be punished by central authority with an imprisonment of up to 2 years and the fine which can extend to 10 lakh, and imprisonment up to 5 years and fine up to 50 lakh for every subsequent offenses. So these are the power of the central authority. Clear? So this is the short overview of the chapter. Now, if you want to study this complete chapter, you can buy this new batch which is actually issued. So new batch is actually published on Oliveboard app. If you want to purchase, so there is a currently discount that is going on in this app. You can go and purchase this batch for the full description of the complete chapter. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are well aware of this video, and if you like this video, and if you have understood what I have taught you, just please like and share the video to the maximum you can. And if you haven't subscribed this channel yet, guys, please subscribe the channel and press the bell notification icon. Thank you so much for joining this session. Thank you so much. Till then, take care, everyone. Bye bye, guys. Bye, everyone. Take care.